Since I've been listening to your teachings, my life has gotten incredibly wonderful in every area. And I came on the Mexican cruise with my partner, and a few weeks after the cruise, our relationship fell apart. I'm still kind of surprised and in shock about it. And I understand intellectually what happened, and even understand what you might say vibrationally, I understand what happened. However, the amount of kind of vibrational muscle it's taking for me to keep my vibration good is exhausting. And
then you are not succeeding. In other words, if it's tiring, just let it go. Be mad. In other words, don't strain so hard. We'll hear you.
I had gotten accustomed to really joyous vibration. And I guess I'm feeling really stubborn about going into anger, frustration. I'm trying to stay in appreciation because I think this is a good thing. Yet I wake up in the morning panicking, and especially being on the same ship again, everywhere, and even my relationship with you and the teachings is kind of still infused with that expectation of that other person, and it's just being hard to feel like I'm a contained individual, like there's almost like there's pieces of me missing that I'm having trouble getting back.
From it, can you feel a desire formulating?
Yes.
And is it a desire to get back together with that particular person?
No.
So how has the desire changed? In other words, what's new as a result of this contrasting situation? What new leading edge for you, desire, has blown out of this?
To reach a state of personal wholeness that I haven't ever experienced. Or maybe my belief is I haven't experienced it. Maybe my belief from that I've never experienced is part of why the relationship ended in the first place.
Well, what we notice with so many people who are involved in relationships, especially relationships that are as intense as that one was, is that without meaning to, as you have very perfectly stated, who you are intertwines so powerfully with who they are that it's hard to separate who's who. And when you are being held as the object of attention of someone, and as they are holding you as their object of attention, they are appreciating you, and they are tapped into source energy in their appreciation, there is a flooding of pure positive energy all over you that is a very good feeling. In fact, for many people, the first time they really feel the gaze of source energy upon them is in that situation of being in love, where someone cares about them enough to give them a lot of attention and wants enough to feel good about them that they are pretty much, especially in the first part of the relationship, connected with source energy as they are doing their gazing. So you say, ooh, this feels good. And there is such a thirst for that for most people all of their life, because you came from that energy that felt like that and then into an environment of enough contrast that many of you sort of lost sight of that. And so when you find it again, it is so delicious that you want to maintain it. And often you struggle to maintain it through this one relationship forevermore just because you remember so much tasting it through that relationship. But what we want you to realize is that what that was, even though there was another person involved, what that was the other person's ability through your interaction to influence you in a stronger, more often way than you were accustomed to before your coming together, to your connection with source energy. And so it was that connection with source energy that really is at the basis of all of what you call being in love. Now, the two of you, as you may have already discovered on your own, if not, we're going to give it to you here, you're very long time friends. We're talking about long before this physical life experience. You are teachers to the core of your being. And what both of you so much want to come forth and teach, and of course you can't teach what you don't know, what you want to come forth and teach through the clarity of your example is your own self-empowerment, you see. And so what could be better than to have an experience like that where you are sort of coaxed into alignment with Source. And it was a powerful coaxing for both of you. In other words, you got tapped in so well with one another that you lined up through this work and other to the very Source energy that is you. In other words, it was all of those things, those synchronistic things that happened, led you right back into vibrational alignment. And it was that alignment that you were reaching for. And now, as you understand that that really is the primary thing that both of you were offering to each other, now you know how to find that alignment on your own, and don't beat up on yourself if it doesn't come back instantly. It will return. It is our promise to you. But now, not only will you be in a place where you can rediscover your true empowerment, but now you are in a place through the details of the nitty-gritty of the relationship that you are living and all of the adding to the amending of desires that you did. Now you have an even more delicious relationship in the making. In fact, we want to say to you that there was a strikingly amazing relationship in the making for each of you before either one of you became consciously aware that you were going to end that relationship. And what we mean by that is the nitty-gritty of what you were living was causing each of you to amend your desires. I know what I don't like, this is what I do want. I know what I don't want, this is what I do want, you see. And so if you can just relax a little bit and get over the sensation of emptiness, of not being connected with this powerful, wonderful person, and instead just relax a little bit and remind yourself who you are, and using your wonderful words, reach for as many thoughts of appreciation as you can find, because that is the quickest key, and we think you're close enough to it that you could, aside from an occasional spell where you're really far from it, we do not think it would be much trouble for you to get consistently into a vibration of appreciation. And then what will happen as you do that, you'll relax back into vibrational alignment with the desires that you launched even during that relationship, and a relationship will flow into your experience, and when you meet, you will know. In other words, we know that it never feels good to someone who is feeling lonely and the missing of someone to say, don't worry, there's something else coming along. But don't worry, there's something else coming along. And it is so much more than what you had before, because it is made from what you had before. Now, there are many who worry, oh, does that mean that it's just going to be another and another and another? In other words, when will I find that one that is the end all for me? And we say, well, you are never complete, but it is our expectation that you will have another experience or two as you are fine-tuning who you really are. And we want so much for all of you who are reaching for relationships to never stand in your now with the vibrational offering, which is all that you have to offer in your powerful now, and say, universe, bring to me now that which will satisfy me forever and ever and ever and ever. You must allow yourself the leeway to change. And that's why, as we begin these gatherings and we say, have you reached the place where even though that which you are seeking has not yet manifested, that you are still joyful in the anticipation of it coming, because you're not ever going to get it done. Each person with whom you interact is going to give you another piece of who you are. It's going to add to the clarity of who you are and what you want. And you are an intense being. You came with powerful purpose. You didn't say, let it be easy. You didn't say, get it all cleaned up and then I'll come forth. Look at the characteristics of your life. You're a powerful teacher, wanting to teach in every way you can the message that I didn't come forth to be a square peg pounded into a round hole. I came forth to discover who I am as this ever-changing being, you see. And so it's going to take a powerful, deliberate, creative partner to keep up with the likes of you. And when you meet, you'll know. So it is possible, and even likely, that you will have another experience or two as you are finding your sea legs again. And then there will be a meeting in the not-so-distant future, and you will recognize this partner as one with whom the two of you can evolve and change together. We will not say to you that your last relationship was not meant to be, but you can feel from your own sifting and sorting, that out of it came so much more clarification about who you are. And you are stubbornly, we know this because we know you so well, not someone who wants to subvert who you are to make peace with anyone. In other words, you have to be in an environment where you are allowed, if not by the other, at least by you, to be who you are, you see. And so that's what that was all about. Bless that relationship every day and thank that other for the clarity that it has brought to you, and then stand in anticipation of that which is to come. And before you know it, the missing will subside altogether, and the anticipation of that which is coming will replace it fully.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Now what? Stand if you think it's you. Yes. Come forward if you will. On the aisle here. Yes.
So I do feel that you know each of us intimately. And
don't worry, we won't embarrass you.
And I've always felt like Jesus was my best friend, and that every time I talked to him, he was there answering all my questions. And now, it's you. The minute I say Abraham, you say what? And I know...
What?
And you answer everything. I feel like you've become my personal coach, that you're riding right by my side, just like Jesus. So, I did have the overlay of the Christian religion deeply in me, and as far as I can tell, it's the same energy. Abraham, Jesus, Kuan Yin, St. Francis, whoever these people are, it feels the same to me.
As Esther was reaching for a way to interpret that which we are, reaching for a label, she did not have a religious vocabulary and did not even really understand the history of the one known as Abraham. And we are not the Abraham that is known in that way anyway. But the reason that that name was the logical name for her to find was because it represents that which is at the basis of all religion. In other words, at the heart of everything that man has received is that which is us. We are a collective consciousness, and so that is what you are feeling. There is so much more harmony among all religions than those who are now experiencing the religions realize. Because you tend to, in your quest to make everyone think exactly the same way that you do, nitpick over the things that you have differences about. But at the heart of everything that you are is that which we are. And so that's why you are feeling that familiarity. But it is probably not a good idea to try to explain that to those who are not ready to hear it. In other words, let everyone have their God the way they need it to be. Because there are a lot of people who are exploring religion that are doing just fine in it. In other words, we are not here to try to change the way anyone views any of that. We just be what we are, and Esther does her best to interpret what we are, and we are pleased that you have received us in the way that she is offering it. Yes.
I feel that we were all together, that I was with you, and then I came down to the physical as the foot, and you stayed up there as the head.
Well, that's a good way of describing it, because source energy is always source energy, and then that which you know as physical is an extension of that source energy. And so that is an accurate depiction. Yes. Something more?
You really do ride by my side and answer all of my questions in the moment I ask them, don't you?
Anything you are wanting about any subject, you have access to infinite intelligence. And it is the power of your belief that makes you able to receive it. In other words, it is not so because we are projecting it to you in an intense way. It is so because when you ask, it is always given. And in your belief, you fully receive. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
Hi. Isn't this fun? So I was sitting there thinking, I've been schlepping around in the rain all day, and wouldn't it just be the worst if I got called on today? So...
And then
So-
you immediately raised your hand.
Absolutely. And all is well. So the thing that I was curious about is you were talking previously to someone about a physical condition, and you were talking about how over a period of time you offer a vibration that kind of creates a rut that you kind of get into. And so when I was very young, I created I had resistance, I guess, that manifested in a physical condition. And apparently for over 30 years, I've been remanifesting that and recreating that. And so when you said that to that person, it really resonated with me. And so then I've tried to connect in the last couple of days with what that is. And my first question is the vibration that created that, is it necessarily the same vibration that has kept it manifested for all these years, or has that transformed over the years?
That is a perfect question, and the answer to it is it has transformed. But we want to give it to you in a way that will serve you enormously well. If you were vibrating then as you are now, that condition could not have gotten started to begin with. Can you hear that clearly?
Yes.
In other words, from where you are now, you can perpetuate it, but you could not begin it from that same vibration, which means it has transformed. Those are very good words. We've touched on this briefly before, but the thing that we really want you to hear is that when you are offering a vibration, we talked earlier about having these unknown to you thoughts, or you know that you're thinking the thoughts and you're aware that the thoughts don't necessarily feel all that good, but it's just the way everybody thinks, it's just the normal way that life is, and so you go ahead and offer the thought. And then you manifest something that is not wanted as a result of that steady offering of thought. Well, once something manifests, now not only is there still the tendency to be thinking the same things that got it started to begin with, but now you are looking at the condition which is perpetuating it still further. And so it is possible to transform, to have enough changes in your life that you are no longer offering the vibration that caused it to begin with, but your awareness of the condition just continues to perpetuate it. We are not really big proponents or little proponents at all of going back and trying to get to the bottom of everything. We are much more encouragers of standing right where you are and establishing the route from where you are to where you want to be, and utilizing the guidance that is within you to let you know what thoughts you might now be thinking that are causing you to maintain a condition that you are no longer wanting to maintain. Your emotions will point right at it every single time. The thing that is a little tricky for most people is when they begin to realize that they create their own reality. Someone may come up with a condition and they'll say, I honestly don't believe that I ever actually thought about that specific condition before. I didn't even know anybody who had it, or I didn't even know the name of it. And we say, but you had to be vibrating somewhere in the vibrational vicinity of it. And always through the crack of least resistance, there was some impression within you that made that the logical way that it manifested. And of course, as you heard us say earlier, the manifestation is always a vibrational match or a vibrational equivalent to whatever emotion that you were feeling. So you want to go further with that
I would.
to bridge from it?
And I what I love about this condition is it's the perfect metaphor. It's a literal tug of war, and I really connect with the vibrational tug of war that created it. And then what I've come to in the last couple of days since I heard what you said to the other person is now I think that the vibration that is sustaining it and keeping it active is a vibration where I am disappointed in myself because
Yes.
I see it as a metaphor, and I see that it still being there is like a symbol of my own failure. as a
well,
human
that happens to so many of you who are teachers of all of this. You feel that you must be the perfect example for everyone else. And that really is the reason that we're encouraging all of you to just sort of make peace with yourself, to make peace with where you are, because it is only the vibration within you that matters. And we think that that is a perfect metaphor for you, because it's what you've come to teach, it's what you've come to know. And so as you realize that you've got that tug of war going on inside of you, and you feel the emotion of it, and then you work to sort of soften that. Give us a little more detail about how it's manifesting for you.
Well, it's a condition called scoliosis, and literally it's just the spine is just twisted and turned, and there's 2 points of it right now that just tug against each other. So instead of being straight, it pulls this way and it pulls this way and it pulls against each other. So I mean, I really get what it is, and that part of it doesn't bother me. And as a matter of fact, in so many ways, as a physical condition, I've totally transcended it, because it prevents me from doing nothing, and people with the severity that I have are in wheelchairs. And so it's not the physical condition, it's what it represents that bothers me.
Well, let's get to the heart of that for just a moment, because we don't want to go back and sift through the things that you've been thinking or living through your life to try to sort this out. When we say get to the bottom of it, we really mean that it is the perfect metaphor for wanting something that for whatever reason you're not yet a vibrational match to. In other words, it really is as simple as that. So let's talk about the condition itself for just a moment. All is well with you? When we come back from segment of refreshment, we'll begin with you, because we want to help you to see that when you have a vibration of desire and a vibration of belief that are not in vibrational alignment with one another, that the physical response at first is just a physical discomfort of an emotion. In other words, it always starts there. But if you've not been trained to pay attention to the emotion that you're feeling, so you don't do anything about choosing a vibration that causes a release of that resistance, then what happens is the emotion gets stronger into what you would call sensation. And if you still don't do anything about releasing the resistance, then it just gets stronger until at some point you've got to do something about releasing the resistance. And we want to show you that it's not about anything other than consciously acknowledging that I can choose a thought that feels better. In other words, if once you understand that you don't have to get to the heart of it, you just have to find a vibration that allows the energy to flow, and that the emotions that you feel are your indication of whether the energy is being allowed to flow or whether it isn't, then in a matter of days, hours, weeks, months at the most, it wouldn't matter what dramatic illness was in someone's body. As you release that resistance, it has to subside. It just must, because well-being is the true nature of your being. Good time for a segment of refreshment. We'll begin with you when we return.
Yes.
We are complete.